Hi, welcome to Golden Years. This month, my special guest is Jeannie Brandt, and she is representing Robby's voice. She will be speaking from her heart through experience. So please come on back because she would like to share her story.
Hi, I'm Ed Zachary with Medina County Veterans Service Office. And if you're a veteran and you're in a crisis, or worse yet, contemplating suicide, I want you to pick up the phone and call the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Do it now.
Welcome back to Golden Years. I'm Lori Betts, and I am interviewing Jeannie Brandt, and she is representing Robby's voice. And she would like to share with you, my viewers, whether you are a senior, whether you are a parent, an aunt, an uncle, about the drug epidemic that is happening here in Medina, and it's not going away soon. So where would you like to start? Would you like to start with your story?
Sure. Let me just tell you a little bit about how Robby's voice got started. Our story revolves around our grandson, Robby, who, when he was a freshman in high school, freshman or sophomore, we can't remember, we're old, we can't remember. He had his wisdom teeth pulled, and they gave him an opiate, which they do. You know, they don't even think about it. And unfortunately, Robby is one of the people that are predisposed to opiate addiction. And the minute he took those pills, his brain just lit up. And that's where it all started. So all through high school, he sold and stole and sold drugs from home and from anywhere that he could get them until he was in college. And he didn't like college, so he went to the military. He used everything, it seems like. When we would talk, he would tell me that, you know, all the different things that he had done. And unfortunately, his addiction turned to heroin after he came home from his basic training in the Army. He had a very, very short addiction. We did everything that we possibly could for him. He was in outpatient therapy. He did inpatient therapy. He was doing really well because his unit from the National Guard was going to go to Afghanistan, and he was so excited about that because he wanted to be a soldier. Yeah. And we have no idea why or what triggered it, and that's part of the disease of addiction. You know, anything can trigger a relapse, and in October of 2011, he overdosed and we lost him. It was very difficult for the family. We kind of became estranged with our son and daughter-in-law. They were grieving, we were grieving. Yeah, we thought we should be grieving together. Obviously, they had other ideas of it because it was so difficult. And in the spring, they came to our house and they told us that while they were cleaning out Robby's room, they found some information that he had actually started a website. He had a domain, and he wanted to have some type of a website that addicts could go to for help, you know, places to go to get help, some kind of a reference website. So they thought that to honor him and to make something good out of this crisis that the family was going through, they decided to run with it. So since Robby wasn't around to help any longer, they named it Robby's Voice, and that's how we became Robby's Voice. And in the, gosh, is it 6 years already? Almost 5.5 years. We've spoken to over 100,000 schools. We've spoken to Rob, our son Rob does most of the speaking, to the EMS workers. We've spoken to physicians. We've spoken to parents. Anyone that will listen to us, we try to speak to so that we can get the message out. We do a lot of speaking here in Medina through the school system. It's kind of a funny thing. it's not funny at all, but it is a funny thing, that parents don't really have an interest in this drug thing that's going on because it doesn't affect them. Yes. And you would think that they would know, there's so much going on and you hear it every day. There's not a day that goes by that you don't read something in the paper or you hear about it, but it's not their problem until it is. And unfortunately, when it does become their problem, they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. They don't, they're not prepared for it at all. So we feel that it's our job, it's almost a mission for us now, to go out and to educate the people and let them know the signs to look for and let them have, references that they can come to. And that's on the school level. But we do more than that. As you said about teaching, our next step after going to all the schools and doing everything was to start a family group. And families are a part of the addiction. They do say that addiction is a family disease because it does affect everyone.
Oh,
it affects
sure
everyone
it
in the
does.
family
Sure.
differently as well, And so we were fortunate enough to be able to work with Lakata, and they have given us space in their office to do this. And we have a family support group that meets every Monday night for families that have either lost children or have children in active addiction, or children that are doing amazingly in rehab and, staying sober and doing everything that they're supposed to do. And what we try to do in our family support group, and I think what has made us so successful, because we're a little bit different than most support groups, we try to bring people in to speak with them and cover every single aspect of addiction. We want them to know what their addicts are going through, why they're doing the things that they're doing.
Answers.
Why they're acting like they're acting. They're really not evil. This is a disease. We have had law enforcement come in and speak with them. We have had people from the FBI, the DEA. We've had lawyers, judges. We have had the Medina Board of Health came in and did a Narcan class. And because we want them to know what's happening, but we also want them to know what the family's going through. Because not only does the addict have to go through some type of a healing process, so does the family.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So we've worked with, we're not a 10-step program, but we have, last year we did a step a month, and we encourage them to delve deeper into that because they have to learn why they're having the feelings that they're having and why there's the anger that they have and the frustration. So we try to give them the full spectrum of what the addicts are going through, and it seems to be really successful because we get a lot of feedback from our families that, had they not known this or the other thing, had they not been prepared, they would have been totally out in left field.
And I'm sure when a family, whether it's the grandparent or the mother or sibling, when they find out and they see it's happening, I mean, first of all, they probably go through guilt.
Yes.
And they say, why me?
Yes.
Why our family?
Yes.
So,
what did I do wrong? What did I miss?
True.
But I'm glad that you brought that up about grandparents because there is an enormous amount of people who are raising their grandchildren.
I was going to bring that up, yes.
Because of addiction, and they struggle to find the resources that they need. It's a financial strain on them.
Oh, I'm
Not
sure.
only that, they don't have the authority to take care of these children. It's very difficult to get the care that the kids need. So there is a huge population of grandparents that are taking care of their grandkids. And we did have someone come in from Catholic Charities and Social Services from Medina to tell them exactly what's available for them.
Oh, that's good. That's good that's there. And Medina, I always have to say this, is such a collaborative county.
Yes.
That everyone helps each other.
Yes.
You team up because the goal is to help the person in need.
Correct. And it's really nice. We are a part of the Medina Opiate Task Force as well as the Cuyahoga County Opiate Task Force. And it's really nice because we can share some of the things that we learn in Cleveland, and the references or the people that we use in Cleveland can come out and help us in Medina as well. But it is a collaborative, and I have to say that Wadsworth is amazing. They're way ahead of the curve. But it doesn't make things, any easier. We are going to be branching out to Wadsworth with our Family Matters group. We have 3 wonderful people who are very entrenched in family addiction that are going to start running the Wadsworth branch, I guess you would say branch of Family Matters there, and just being able to reach more people. That's our goal, to reach as many people that we can. Also, Bob and I, my husband, we go out and we speak to the senior citizens, because there is a huge part of the population, the senior population, that is either misusing their drugs or
drinking and drugs.
Drinking and drugs, exactly. And they do the things that the young people do. They share their drugs.
Yeah.
If something works for them, they'll share it with their friend. You know, take this, it works for me. But what they don't realize...
Innocently. They're doing it innocently.
They're doing it very innocently, yes. Or mixing over-the-counter drugs with prescription drugs, or forgetting if they've taken their drugs, and then they'll take a double dose of their drugs, you know. So we try to inform them about all of these different things that's going on. And a huge thing is protecting their drugs from their grandchildren that are addicts, because they're an easy target. You know.
Easy.
Grandma and Grandpa want to help these kids, and they just want to do what they can. And addicts are pretty clever people. You know, they will go in and they will steal from the people that they love the most, but it's not your loved one. It's that they have this terrible disease, and it is truly a disease that clouds their thinking and their judgment. And that's why they do the things that they do, because they are not able to make good decisions.
Oh, sure.
Right.
Sure.
And it is not a curable disease, but it's a manageable disease, and it's a lot of work. You know, it's something that doesn't happen overnight.
Oh, definitely.
You know,
and the addicts, don't they go to monthly meetings or weekly? Weekly meetings?
Sometimes they go, it depends who the addict is, you know. When they first come out of rehab or wherever they are, they're encouraged to go to meetings every day, because sometimes that's their only lifeline that they have. And they are with people that understand exactly what they're going through. And we have successful addicts in our group, and we have, sometimes the parents will bring their addicts that are just starting their recovery, and we encourage them, you know. Bob and I go down, not to digress here, we go down to Rosary Hall at St. Vincent's Hospital, and they have a detox center there. It's been there forever. It's been a part of AA since the inception of AA, and we meet once every other week with people that are going through detox. And we encourage them to find someone that's really successful at the program, because trust me, they know exactly what they're going to do before it happens. And, you know, this is a disease of relapse. And some of the people that we have met have relapsed twice, 3 times. We met an elder man that he's relapsed 20 times, but he keeps coming back because he has that hope that maybe this will be the time that works.
So when you're speaking to them, do you think, are you filtering to them? Are you getting through to them like at the beginning, or they're just not ready to? That's
a good question, because they're not ready until they're ready, you know, and until they really want hope. But we hope that by hearing Robby's whole story, it reaches them. They're also polite, and they're good people. They've just either gotten addicted because of prescription medications or because of starting with marijuana or something like that, and just, you know, when the thrill's not there anymore, then they move on to something else. And we have had some people write us back, or, you know,
oh, that's good.
When we see them come back again, they're like, okay, we know what we did wrong, and this time it's going to be better. And I did want to mention to you about Medina County. They are seeing overdose deaths drop a little bit. And we truly believe it's because of Narcan, you know, because they are administering not the Narcan. It's not a fail-safe, you know, it's not a cure, but sometimes it's enough to have that person realize that, wow, I almost died. Yeah, this is pretty serious. What we are seeing is a rise in crystal meth and cocaine. God, so where the heroin and fentanyl and carfentanil are dropping a little bit, we're seeing a rise in the other drugs. So,
all right, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to continue on, and you're going to share some more info with us.
Okay.
office. Is this your name?
We'd do anything for kids. Yet 1 in 6 children in the U.S. struggle with hunger. Help end childhood hunger near you. Learn how at feedingamerica.org.
Hart, what's going on?
I'm leaving. Why? What did I do?
Not enough. The pressure's too much. I quit.
I get it.
I can do better. Just please don't leave.
Don't let your heart quit on you. Get your uncontrolled high blood pressure to a healthy range before it's too late.
Hi, welcome back to Golden Years. I am interviewing Jeannie Brandt, and she is representing Robby's Voice. And she is sharing us a wealth of information about drug addiction, drug misusage, and she's got a lot of helpful tips. So my question to you, I want to ask you, and we were talking about prescription drugs could be a very, what do I want to say, a start of the person, like you said, being addicted. I was thinking earlier today that my nephew, he was on drugs for lower back issues. He had a wonderful job, but he was on medication for his back, and it turned into overdose and suicide.
Oh my gosh.
So that was like 14 years ago. And you're just so unaware of anything in a person's mind at that time, and you're sharing with us that, you know, you should always look for signs. You know, personality changes, you know, they're looking for dollars to put themselves on the drugs. You know, so it's just, I guess you really have to have your eyes open and ears open. So in a real addict, I mean, at the beginning they just start because they think it's something cool to do.
People don't know that they are predisposed to addiction until they try a drug. So there is a big percentage of the society that can do anything and they won't become addicted. But there's that percent, maybe 1 in 10 people or something like that, that are predisposed to drugs. And they could be predisposed to only heroin, or they could be predisposed to cocaine. It isn't, you know, maybe they can do heroin, but they can't do cocaine. They will try the drug. Or say your nephew who was on prescription pain drugs. He was working with a doctor, but 14 years ago, they were giving these patients such an enormous amount of pain pills that it would have almost been impossible for them not to become addicted. And that's what happens. And then when it becomes so price prohibitive to keep getting the drugs from the doctor, they turn to street drugs, which are a lot less expensive and they're pretty easy to get. Now, as far as the schools go, of course, you know, as kids grow up, they're going to try drinking. They may try smoking pot. They may try, you know, somebody will say, hey, this was fun. I took this. Why don't you try it? They do things like, this is going to blow your mind. They do things like they have Skittle parties. And what a Skittle party is that they need to bring a handful of drugs and to get into the party, and they throw them all in a bowl. Now, this can be anything. It can be absolutely anything from a medicine cabinet, and it's not prescribed for them. It could be prescribed for a 300-pound person, and a little teen who's about maybe 110 pounds is going to take this drug, and of course they're going to have a reaction to it.
Oh my goodness.
So they do things like that.
They're playing with fire.
Exactly. But you have to remember, kids think that they're invincible.
Right.
You know, and it's not
Nothing's
going to
gonna
happen to them,
them.
and it may have happened to so-and-so, but it's not going to happen to me. A lot of the things that are in the school now are kids are taking the miniature gummy bears and they're soaking them in alcohol, and they will explode up to about a normal sized gummy bear, and they're eating these alcohol infused gummy bears all day long, so they're literally drinking in school. Or they're putting alcohol in their water bottles, or, you know,
Oh my goodness.
things like that. And, you know, the teachers have to be aware of what's going on as
Really?
well. But it's out there, or a friend may say, you know, try this. It was really cool, and I had this great feeling from it, and he was fine, but maybe Susie will try it, and she will be in that percentage that's predisposed, and that'll start her journey.
The bodies are also
Right.
different.
Or they start taking something, and it's not enough of a kick for them, and they're going to try something a little stronger, and that will build and build and build.
Probably siblings, if they have an older brother or sister who's involved in all this.
Right.
Maybe shares with the younger sibling.
Sometimes that happens, absolutely. Sometimes we'll meet families that have two addicts. Sometimes we'll meet families that have lost to children, to the addiction. But sometimes the addict doesn't want their younger brothers and sisters to get involved. And, you know, but these little kids, they're very impressionable, and they'll say, oh, well, you know, he can do it, and so can I, you know, and they'll steal money from their mom and dad's wallets. They'll use their credit cards. They'll steal things that have value, and they'll get money for them and buy their drugs that way. And the drugs are just a phone call away, you know. It's so bad now that the drug dealer, if you leave money in your mailbox, the drug dealer will put the drugs in the mailbox.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can order almost anything online. A lot of things are shipped from China. These kids, they know there's a dark web, and the kids are so smart, you know. When Rob talks to the high schools, he'll say, if I gave you an hour to go out and money to go out and buy marijuana, how many of you would know exactly where to go? And the kids will raise their hands, you know. Or he'll say, if I give you an hour to go out and find hard drugs, how many of you? And hands will go up, you know. They know. There's the
How old
kids,
is he talking to?
the high school kids. The high school
Like,
kids.
so 15, 16.
15 through, right. And there's kids in school that are dealing. That's how they get their drug money.
That is just amazing.
It is. It's really a very convoluted thing, and it's very dangerous.
When I ask my niece about that, she'll roll her eyes and say, oh, come on, Aunt Lori. And I'm like, stay clean.
You know, and there are good kids. There are really good kids out there that don't want to be involved with it at all. But, you know,
Kids
it's like
are
a rite of
kids, and
passage.
yeah.
You know, I have to say that we were just somewhere. Oh, I know where it was. I was at North Ridgeville is setting up a program for their schools, and they were saying that the parents now are teaching the high school kids how to drink responsibly, so that when they go to college, they can drink, but they'll know how to drink.
Oh.
It's crazy.
It is crazy.
It is crazy. Kids do drugs with their parents. They smoke marijuana with their parents.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure you have you find that big issue.
Yep.
Because it's just parts of the generation gaps.
Oh, yes.
It's just.
But marijuana is way different than it was like when we were kids. You know, the THC level, which is the level that they get the high from, is sometimes 50%, where when our generation, it was maybe 2 or 3%. And there's no studies done on it, you know. That's the hard part, but yep.
Wow, it's an interesting world out there.
Well, just let me give you a few tips on if people do have kids that are having a problem. There's a wonderful website, and it's called Emerald, like the green emerald, the stone emerald, Jeannie. And this family lost their daughter, and what they have done is they have gone through the whole state of Ohio, and they have vetted every facility that offers help for drug addiction, and they have it listed on the website. So maybe you have someone that's, you know, addicted to cocaine and they can't get off of it. You can actually put where would be the best facility to go for this cocaine addiction, and it's really wonderful. It's Emerald Jeannie. You know,
okay.
I know that the Adams Board is working with them, and you know, many facilities now. The police departments are recommending them. There are programs in place. It's called the POWERY program. It's a police-assisted type program in Cuyahoga County and some outlying communities. It's called Safe Passages. If you truly want help, you can go to these police departments and say, I'm an addict and I need help. And they will help you find some type of a resource to get clean. Now, if you have a felony, you know, they may or may not help you through that or overlook it until you're clean, but you do have to, you know, make good on what you've done bad.
So help is always out there.
Help is always out there. You can go to a hospital emergency room, you know, things like that.
Donations. How are you funded?
Robby's Voice is a nonprofit, and we are, you know, anybody that wants to make donations, they can make donations. We don't charge for anything that we do. You know, we go out in the community and we give back because we don't want families to have to go through what we go through. So people can donate to the Medina County Task Force. They can donate to our Robby's Voice. We have a website, robbysvoice.com.
Okay.
And there's a place on there that will accept donations. So
you and Bob are sharing your life story with the community and other counties. I mean, because it's just so needed.
It is. It's really needed, and it gives it validity. If somebody's been through it, you know, it gives it validity. So, and one other thing, last year we were very honored to receive an award from the FBI, and it was the Director's Community Awareness Award, or Leadership Award, and we got to go down to Washington, D.C., and Rob accepted the award from James Comey 2 weeks before he got fired, on stage, you know, and for all of the things that we do. So we're very blessed. I mean, we really are blessed. Whatever we do is faith-based, and it seems like more things keep coming our way, so we're never at a lack of things to do or places to go and help.
And thank you for being out there, for helping all these people. You shared a story with me, the young man. He was coming to meetings and everything.
Oh, Kenny?
Kenny,
yes, yeah. He was our poster child for addiction, you know. He would come to our family meetings, and he would really tell from the perspective of an addict, you know, what these parents think they're going to do to help their kids, and how no, they're manipulating you. And he was clean for 2 years, and unfortunately and very sadly, at the beginning of the year, whatever happened, you know, maybe he wasn't doing his program the way he should be doing his program, and he overdosed, and we lost him. And he was such a cornerstone to Robby's Recovery Center, you know, and it's a great loss. And I'll tell you, it really threw a lot of people for a loop, you know, and it was a good wake-up call to these addicts that you are not safe. You know, you have to follow that program. You have to do the things that you're supposed to do every single day. You know, it's your new job. It's part of your job now.
Yeah, you shared that story with me, and you said listening to his experience helped you guys quite a bit.
Oh my gosh, and he was a stinker. You know, he did a lot of things that you would just shake your head at, and you couldn't believe it. And you know, his turning point was, during the winter, he was high and he was stranded, and he called his mom to come get him in Canton, and she said no. And he was freezing outside, and that was his turning point to get, like, what am I doing with my life? Look at this. It's so bad that even my family won't help me now, and I need to do something.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And sometimes you have to be tough
Exactly,
love.
exactly. And it's so hard, but.
What else would you like to leave with my viewers?
Well, I would like to tell them that don't think that it's not your problem until it is, you know. Educate yourself. Use all the resources that are out there. If your school's offering a program for the parents and the families, go to it. It's an hour or two of your time to get information, and the more information that you have, the better prepared you are. Maybe it won't be your child, but it may be a friend's child, or it could be somebody in your family, you know, and just think how great it would be if you were to be able to say to them, you know, I heard this thing, or I saw this thing, why don't you look into it? Maybe there's help there. And, you know, just be aware, and don't be afraid. If you know that somebody's child is having a problem, or somebody has a problem, go to somebody, you know. You may lose a friend, you know, they may be upset, but eventually they'll realize that you were only trying to help. But, you know, basically that's about it, you know, just.
And it sounds like the drugs aren't going away anytime soon.
Not for a while.
So all the help that's out there is awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us this month, and we'll see you next month.
When I started taking care of Mom, I didn't realize the challenge of playing so many roles. But above all, I'm still her daughter.
Visit aarp.org/caregiving. We're here to help.
You're watching The Bat.